Well, all right, kiddos, it's time to sharpen up those edges and grease up your chains. We are going to live it up with mountain life. Dropping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, mountain lifers, mountain lovers, mountain jokers, and midnight tokers? Welcome to the show. My name is Feet Banks, and it's officially slow season in most mountain towns. That lovely time of year where you're usually either dead broke, praying for snow and partying at home, or you're somewhere tropical, surfing, praying for snow at home, and partying on the beach. Slow season, or as the tourism agencies and marketing departments like to call it, shoulder season, because nobody likes to be associated with the concept of slow when they're trying to get your money. But speaking of shoulders, shout out to Apple Valley Barbecue in Parkdale, Oregon, because they know how to smoke a real nice pork shoulder and slather it in sauce and put it in a bun. I was just in Oregon last week, fishing in Bend, checking the snow at Mount Hood, staying in the Hood River Hotel, and just kind of checking the scene down there. It's cool. Oregon's pretty chill, especially in slow season, and I didn't even see that many hipsters at all. Never made it to Portland, though. But, you know, it's nice to get a real sense of a mountain town. You show up there in slow season. Talk to the locals when they're not fully pinned, making those tourism dreams come true. Get a vibe for what the place is actually like for the people that live there. So if you're thinking of jumping off the rat race conveyor belt of adult life, or if you're tempted to buy a Subaru or a Sprinter van, I guess, if you have a good job, and pack it with all your stuff and move to a mountain town and take life one day at a time with, the wind in your hair and the sun in your face, slow season is the time to do it because you want to know where you're going to live, and also you need to make those local connections if you're going to find a place to live. Don Schwartz is on the show today, and he's not the kind of guy who sits on his ass during slow season. Not at all. But we'll dig into that after this message from our partners at Jack Wolfskin, makers of sustainable outdoor clothing, gear, and footwear. For almost 40 years, the Jack Wolfskin name and paw print have been a symbol of their trailblazing spirit and regard for nature. Inspired by an expedition in northern Canada in 1981, they have led the pack with innovative, eco-conscious technologies, a commitment to social responsibility, and forward-thinking outdoor apparel and equipment designs. If you haven't seen the Jack Wolfskin paw print in your neighborhood before, it's because they've only just completed their newest den here in North America, so keep an eye out. Jack Wolfskin will see you in the wild, wherever that is for you. Okay, so Don Schwartz, a.k.a. Schwarty, a.k.a. one of the most badass dudes I've ever met. He's one of the early pioneers of Canadian snowboarding. He was the overall North American champion in 1988. He's also a savage and a champion endurance racer in events like the ultra-grueling Death Race or World's Toughest Mudder, stuff like that. He's also a champion barefoot water skier, a ski guide, and a helicopter pilot, which is pretty crazy because at the age of 20, Don survived a tragic helicopter crash that left him badly burned and took the lives of 3 of his friends. He spent months in the hospital burn unit recovering, and within 3 months of his release, Don was back on his board and on the podium. We talk about all of this, and Don covers it in more detail in his new book, Beating the Impossible, A Life of Comebacks, Extreme Sports, and PTSD. Let's go. Don Schwartz. Shorty, welcome to the studio.
Gee, thanks for having me here.
Man, I'm excited to talk about the book. I'm excited to talk about the old days. But first off, how was your summer? What's your autumn? What have you been up to?
Oh, fabulous summer. Went to France, did a 7-day hiking tour with my family around Mont Blanc, the 7-day Tour de Mont Blanc. Did the comfort version where we stayed in hotels every night, which was quite delightful. And spent entire month of October doing everything but work because it was sunny every day. Couldn't turn that down.
Yeah, make hay when the sun shines is what we used to say.
That's exactly what happened, and not a lot of work got done.
Nice. You talked about the luxury hiking. Did you do a lot of camping when you were young? You grew up in Calgary?
Grew up in Calgary. My parents built a cabin just outside of Canmore when I was born. And every weekend of the summer, my dad had us hiking in the mountains, going somewhere, some point. You know, being the third member of the family, I got dragged along no matter what.
Right.
So by 10 years old, I was doing 15 and 20K hikes in the day. Yeah. And I'd say, Dad, my legs are tired. My legs hurt. And he'd say, that's good. That's when you're building muscles, son.
Did you have any brother and sister, or was it just you and them?
Older brother, older sister,
Right.
and I was the one that had figured out fast along the way to fill in.
Yeah, the straggler.
Yeah.
With your own kids, did you drag them out as much as is that something that was instilled in you early, and kids get working, carry your own pack, that kind of thing?
That exactly was it. Let's go outside, do things. Didn't matter if it was raining.
Yeah.
Our kids saying they have learned is if you don't do things when it's raining, you may never do anything in Whistler.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we live in a rainforest, right?
Yeah, exactly. So everything we did, it was all right, kids, let's go, pack it up, and let's go outside for an adventure.
Awesome. Well, I mean, your dad plays. Both your parents are a part of your new book, your first book, Beating the Impossible: A Life of Comebacks, Extreme Sports, and PTSD. Your old man was a big hockey guy then?
Yeah, where I grew up in Calgary, we had 2 outdoor hockey rinks about 2 blocks from our house. My dad ran those and the entire community hockey program. We're the best outdoor ice in the entire city. Constantly, you'd be down there playing hockey, and you'd meet up with Calgary Flames out there playing pickup hockey. So yeah, Dad was a serious proponent of the hockey industry.
Yeah, and it feels like he was a big part of the community, hard work, volunteering.
Phenomenal, motivating person for what you get out of hard work.
Yeah, and your mom was a skier.
She was chief gatekeeper for the '88 Olympics in Calgary. That was a 4-year run of volunteer work to make that happen. And she was involved with almost everything in ski racing in Alberta.
So you guys were on the slopes at a young age then?
Every weekend.
Yeah.
One day ski racing, one day hockey, sometimes both in the same day. My dad organized all the hockey schedule so I could ski race on Sunday, sleep in the car on the way home, hockey game that night.
Right.
That was
Full speed ahead.
always.
Yeah, and that would have been what, the early 80s kind of thing?
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s.
And then when did snowboarding kind of sneak into your life?
84.
84, so pretty early on.
Very early. That was generation 1 of snowboarding.
And was there pushback from the folks on that?
It was more, we think this is going to be a weekend fad. You'll probably never do it.
Right.
And as I have discovered in my life, my biggest motivators tell me I can't do it.
Right.
And then I'll go do it.
Yeah, snowboarding was a little bit bigger than the hula hoop.
Just a little bit.
Talk about those early days. I know you talk about the Achenbach brothers in the book, and what was the early snowboard scene in Calgary like?
There wasn't many of us.
Yeah.
It was show up at Achenbach's house in the morning at 6 o'clock. Everybody had $5 for gas. You had to go in, wake them up, get everybody organized, load the van.
Did you know those guys before, like from school or something, or was it just snowboarding?
Just through buying stuff at the snowboard shop, and then they're saying, hey, you want to go up this weekend? And we'd load in and all go together, and that's how you met all your new best friends.
Yeah, and then you kind of shuffled out of skiing and out of hockey and into competitive snowboarding?
Yeah, and interestingly enough, it was my high school wrestling coach that was the most disappointed.
Right.
I had to drop wrestling for snowboard races, and he was pissed. He said, you're city champ this year, and you're walking away for snowboarding.
Right.
I said, well, yes.
Yeah.
Snowboarding was that big a thing.
And it turned out okay. I don't know that many professional wrestlers, especially at a young age like that. Were your folks disappointed when you made the full switch over and sort of let the other stuff fall behind, or?
Maybe originally,
right.
And then they saw the devotion to the snowboarding and how much fun it was and where it was leading me. Yeah. And then in short order, winning snowboard events. And at that point, they were all on side with assisting, helping, and they just realized that it's sport. You help your kids and you do the best you can.
Those early events, it was like a slalom, a mogul, and a quarter pipe or something, or?
No, we had a half pipe,
right?
Hand dug, 10 feet high, 8 feet high.
How many hits could you get in it?
Usually there was 4 or 5 tombstones on the way down, and that was the best it was going to get. Then there was GS, usually moguls back then, but that was it. Three event wonders.
Crazy. Moguls. I know you talk about having you enjoyed
Loved
snowboarding moguls.
Loved moguls.
Yeah. How come?
Well, when I started snowboarding at Sunshine, there'd be a few guys like Alex Warburton, Keith Zajac, Greg Daniels. They were living up there.
Right.
So every weekend I'd go up and I'd have the first day to catch up to what they had learned all week. And anytime they weren't there, they were working. The only other people that would hang out with a snowboarder was the Alberta Freestyle Ski Team.
Right.
They were skiing bumps all day, every day, and did not care if they left me behind.
Right.
So if I wanted somebody to hang out with, I learned to ride bumps and ride them fast.
And I mean, out here in Whistler, I don't know if it was the same in Alberta, but snowboarders weren't loved by the skiers right away. I remember people spitting on snowboarders off the chairlift. Was that happening? Were you guys, right away sort of pushed into the margins?
Everywhere except Fortress Mountain and Sunshine.
Right.
They accepted snowboarding immediately. Lake Louise was way behind the game. The people in general, it was more of a, that's kind of weird. What are you doing?
Right. It
versus
you goddamn snowboarders are pushing all the snow off the hill.
No, we didn't. Really
right.
hear
You guys
a
are
lot of
making
that.
moguls.
Lots of complaints about us as we went down the ski out at the end of the day. They
Right.
always have to check in at customer service and say, hey, some guy in a blue suit's going to be really pissed. Thinks I cut him off. But anyway, just letting you know.
Awesome. Smaller hills, so you kind of knew everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like working there. And
Yeah, exactly.
then how did you end up in Whistler?
1988, came out to SFU, thought I'd take a stab at engineering. One semester in, I realized that was not the direction my life should be going. Had a chance to come up to Whistler, stay in the snowboard house, had a contract with Barefoot Snowboards, just everything came in one shot, and it was, well, I can go back to university if this doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And here I am today, still following that one weekend adventure of coming to Whistler and never left.
Yeah. A classic story. 88, it feels like, that's when I got to Whistler too, but it feels like snowboarding was really about to really take off. The snowboard shop had just moved over or was about to move over to Whistler?
Just opened a new location.
Yeah.
So they still had Calgary, opened the Whistler one. The
Yeah.
deal was we had free accommodation in the snowboard house.
Yeah.
And you worked a few days in the store, you kept it open, kept it running, and snowboarded as much as you could.
Yeah. I want to take a little aside and just tell me about Kenny Achenbach. You've known that guy your whole life. You've done a bunch of different stuff with him. He's an interesting character. Like what, from someone in the inner circle, what's the story? What's the deal with that guy? He's always thinking about a new angle.
He is a creative genius.
Yeah.
If somebody could follow along behind him with $1 million investment, every idea he came up with, you'd be a billionaire.
Right.
Genius ideas just sometimes can't always follow through, but wow, amazing ideas, amazing plans.
Yeah.
We went on incredible world adventures on the Kenok Adventures.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. He was the guy that, hey, we can go do that. Cool, I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah. Tour guide so that the guests will pay for the guide to go somewhere.
Exactly. We could do a month in France.
Yeah.
2 weeks of Kenok Adventures. We go a week early, stay a week after, and come back with the same broke that we left with.
Yeah. What was that early, as more and more snowboarders started trickling into Whistler, what was that, the house would just fill up with randoms and then, some of those kids would go on to compete against you and just touch on that early snowboard scene because it was, that's never going to happen again.
No, there was a house out in Emerald, had a whole batch of $50 cars in the driveway, a bunch of snowboards tacked on the side of the house, snowboard banners along the roof. The tourist bus stopped in front. If you hopped in a taxi and said, take me to the snowboard house, that's where you ended up.
Right.
I lived in the attic. Every pro snowboarder of the early day moved through there at some point. Alex Warburton, he had his own room. Daniel Pendergrass, one of the top photographers, lived in the basement. Jeff Brushy spent 2 years in a hallway, 8 feet by 3 feet. And it was the dream of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Just living there, snowboard all day, every day, come back. Random weekends, there'd be 25 people living in the house.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, somebody's on the couch. Hey, dude, where are you from?
Yeah.
Oh, my buddy down in Washington said it'd be okay if we came and crashed here. Oh, who's your buddy? Oh, Keith Wallace. Absolutely. Come on in. That was the world we lived in.
Pretty awesome.
Oh,
pretty tight community back then.
Couldn't be better.
And then Whistler Mountain opened for you guys. What was that like when all of a sudden you were allowed to snowboard on Whistler Mountain as well as Blackcomb?
It went from you are kind of, they didn't treat us as a scourge. They just didn't know how to accept us. That was the big thing.
Right.
And there was still a few people back then that thought, snowboarders wrecking the hill. This will never catch.
Right.
But that got proved wrong pretty fast. And,
yeah.
it it was awesome. Just seeing more and more places that would open up to the snowboarding.
And now, decades later, what are you, a Whistler guy or a Blackcomb guy, or?
I don't care.
Yeah, you're happy either way.
Yeah, it's right now. It's figuring out the chairlifts in the morning.
Yeah.
Did you make it there in time, or are you showing up a few minutes late?
Yeah.
I'd give away the secrets, but then I'd see too many other people in those spots.
One part in the book, you talk about, competing and just being like, I have to beat Alex Warburton, right? That was the goal for the day, was to get out and know you can beat him. How was that competitive camaraderie? Were you guys, obviously living together, buddies, but what was the balance there?
That was the day of, you knew you were around the right people because they were your best friends.
Yeah.
And when you're in the start gate against them, it didn't matter. You really badly wanted to beat them, but when they beat you, you're equally excited for them. Give them high fives. That's the best run I've ever seen to have.
Yeah,
I can't beat that today. I'm stoked for it.
Yeah.
And that was a very big, rare item at the time. You'd see a lot of people at the bottom of the race just praying to God that somebody in the next run would fall down versus being truly stoked that that person had an epic run.
Yeah. And then, larger and larger sums of money started coming into the game. I know you say in the book, you could win 20 grand and your sponsors would match it in a weekend.
Oh, money flowed in everywhere.
Yeah.
Every ski, skateboard, motorbike company in the industry wanted in on snowboarding.
This would have been what, early 90s kind of? Or?
Late 80s, early 90s, it just flowed like water. You'd go to California in the fall and come home with a car full of snowboard boots, snowboards, sunglasses, goggles, T-shirts.
Yeah.
Come through customs and they're like, are you going to stock a store? No, man, I'm a pro snowboarder.
Yeah, sick.
So that was, and a big weekend. You could have 3 or 4 sponsors that would match your prize money.
Right.
First place could be 6 to 10 grand.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of different occupations, I guess, pro athlete, musician, you give young kids that kind of money. It creates problems. It seems like, I know Alex, Martin Gallant always said it was Alex that told him, like, go buy a house or buy some property. Like, how did you guys juggle that? It seems like that early first wave of snowboarders in Whistler sort of fared a little bit better than some of the kids that came after them as far as fiscal responsibility.
I think for a lot of us at that first wave of that point, we were 21, 22 years old. So a little bit smarter, had realized that we've already been broke and that sucked.
Yeah.
For me, it was my dad saying, how much money do you got in the bank? And I told him, and he goes, holy crap. All right, we got to invest that in something. And
right.
He showed me places to put it and stocks to buy. And he just really smartened me up about what to do with that kind of money. And that you're making it now, but you won't always be. Plan for that day. So I think a lot of us on that first wave were just slightly older and had parents and other friends that were making the same money and realizing that, one day we won't be.
Yeah. Well, this book, it's your first book, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's it's written almost the way, sort of how you lived your life. It feels like, it's fast. I found I was turning pages. I wasn't putting it down. I'm eating my cereal, reading it. Like, you can blow through the book almost the way that the story in the book is full speed ahead as well. How did that come around? Did you just one day figure like, hey, I'm going to make this book, or what was the inception point for that?
I've had a lot of years of doing things, trying to help people, trying to motivate people, especially through injuries.
Yeah.
Through health-related things, later in life, mental health-related things. And it was a realization. I had a ton of people saying, dude, you got to write a book. Right. You got to write a book. And after you hear you need to write a book, enough times you think, maybe I could write a book.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about writing.
Did you ever write articles for Snowboard Mags or anything like that?
A couple letters written here and there. Yeah. It was poorly done.
Right. So how did you take the first step? Just what did you do?
I ran into one of my kids' ski instructors who said, hey, I'm writing a book. And I said, well, how do you start? And he gave me this guy, Mike Skripnik, down here in Squamish.
Right.
And he was writing books, and he also had a great program of how to start writing books. Huh. So we sat down for a long time and talked about how to start. And then my daughter works with a creative writing coach up in Whistler, Bronwyn Priest, and she's published books. And she's a great creative writing coach.
Yeah.
So I phoned her up and we chatted for an hour and came across with a great connection of she understood what my story could be, what it should be. So at that point, I sat down with the computer and just started writing the stories out and hand them in to Bron. I'd hand Bronwyn 100 pages and she'd hand me back 15 to 20.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest kick to the nuts for the ego ever. I thought, man, I got 100 pages. This is going to be
done.
This thing is going to be 4,000 pages long. It's like, no, most of that didn't fit the story you need to have out, and or you need to figure out how to write.
And did that, with your sort of competitive spirit of, don't tell me that what not to do and what to do. Did that fuel you then or after you got over the initial shock of being like, hey, I just worked my ass off for 10, 12 pages. Now I'm going to try harder, or was there a disappointment there?
No disappointment. It was more that I realized I needed to take my ego, hide it for a while.
Yeah.
That if you wanted to stand there with your ego, you shouldn't have hired the people.
Right.
And I figured I was paying Bronwyn to give me the advice. I'd been listening to Mike to figure out how to get the writing process going. Thought, I paid these people. I better listen to them. And I better toss the ego out, just start writing, see what comes back, polish it up, and figure out how to piece it all into a coherent, hopefully epic tale.
It is a pretty epic tale. I mean, your life has been a lot of avenues. It's not really a self-help book in a traditional sense, but there's a lot of, helpful stuff in there. Right in the title, it talks about PTSD, which doesn't, that sort of section comes more towards the end of the book, but I feel we should probably touch on, you were in an accident. I don't want to I don't know if talking about the accident is something that you do a lot, or if that's like counterproductive to the process, or what's the scenario with that?
That is an absolute piece of my life, information that needs to go out in the world.
Yeah.
What I went through, how it affected the rest of my life, and the attitude of 1990 for mental health versus it is now.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a valuable thing that needs to be talked about. And I wish more of the world would share their medical and personal histories to help others.
Yeah.
Because we got it. We can't all try to go through this alone.
Without giving out too much of the book, can we talk about the accident just a little bit? Like what happened? You were in a helicopter crash.
Yeah, 1990. It was a helicopter crash.
Snowboarding.
Yep. Doing the Powder Eights. It unfortunately claimed the lives of 3 of our really good friends in the snowboard world.
Yeah.
And from there, it was trying to figure out how to move forward with serious burns over my face and neck and continue life beyond that point, how to continue snowboarding, how to continue everything else I was doing.
Yeah.
And at that time, nothing was done about PTSD, trauma. It was, you need to suck it up.
Yeah. Be a man.
Yeah, be a man. You just need to get over that.
Or some people would probably just drink it away or smoke a ton of weed or something.
Yeah. And I was very lucky. I took all of that, the issues from the trauma, and stuffed it into hard physical effort.
Yeah.
Sports, athletics, adventure races, gym. I took it, instead of an addiction of drugs or alcohol, I put it into an addiction of hard physical punishment.
Right.
Which some would say, hey, that might be worse.
Yeah. Or an easier chance to die. Right.
Yeah. And certainly I look at my life beyond then and go, wow, yeah, I pushed those things to a limit where close to death would be maybe an understatement.
Yeah. One part of that story I found really fascinating was just when you were healing, your face was burned, your nose, your ear, and you had this process to sort of I'm going to regrow my nose, I'm going to regrow my ear. And nobody really believed you. Well, how did you know that it was going to work?
Well, I didn't.
Right.
But I'd read a story in Surfer magazine. Alex Warburton handed me the magazine and said, hey, there's this great article in here. You got to read this. And just one random time read the article about a surfer named Mark Fu.
Yeah.
Broke his leg in big surf, snapped his femur, and the doc said, you've got 6 to 8 weeks in the cast. And he says, well, actually, no, in 6 weeks I'm surfing a big pro event.
Yeah.
So 2 days later, he cut the cast off his leg, and 6 weeks later was surfing. And his description was the mental focus and visualization of every cell of the bone in his leg healing back together.
Yeah.
So with acupuncture, proper meditation, visual belief, and an internal belief that it could be done.
Yeah.
Unwavering, absolute Owen Meany-like faith that this will work. And it worked. And I don't know if it was true or not, but it motivated me. It made me believe that that could be true.
Because also Mark did surf in that event.
Exactly.
6 weeks later or whatever, right?
So I looked at that and said, I'm sitting in the hospital here. They got me on morphine and a whole batch of other drugs. What else do I have to do?
Yeah.
So when the doc says your nose and your ear are burnt so bad, they're going to fall off. It's like, I'm 20 years old. They will not fall off.
Yeah.
I will win this battle.
Yeah.
So for days on end in the hospital, I pictured the little green men starting out in the core of the body, walking up with these little green balls of energy and replacing pieces of skin and carrying away the burnt skin one at a time on a perpetual loop.
Yeah, just for hours and hours.
Nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It's either that or watch the test pattern on TV.
And, I mean, that sort of ideology was a lot less common back then, visualization and that. Did you, after it had worked, did you dig more into that world? I mean, I know you used a similar process for other injuries, but did you read up on that stuff or go to lectures or anything? Or
No, that point was just that I knew it worked.
Right.
I had firsthand experience.
Yeah.
That worked. It was effective. When I was assured 100% by the medical industry that was not possible.
Yeah.
And that was a big foray of leading into the rest of my life. Just because somebody says it's not possible, it only means they haven't done it yet.
Yeah. Do you feel like the medical industry sometimes undersells what's possible because they don't want to give people false hope and then face some sort of legal ramification or moral dilemmas?
That is a good question, which may be an entirely different hour-long discussion. But the North American medical system's fabulous if you're in a car crash.
Yeah.
If you need trauma surgery, trauma help, it is phenomenal. For long-term, keep you healthy, keep you from ever needing a doctor, we're ass backwards and archaic. It is sad.
Yeah.
So my experience from that was, if I really want me to be better, it's only one person that cares about that, me. So if I want to do that, I'm going to take this on myself. Found the right Chinese naturopathic doctors, found different ways of eating, people that believed that you can think yourself into good health, the same as you can worry yourself into a cancerous disaster.
Yeah.
Whether you think you can or can't, you're right.
You talk about cutting sugar out of your diet. When did you get your wife and you kick the sugar out?
That was watching 70-year-old mother-in-law go through 12 rounds of bladder infections, and the modern medical system went through 12 rounds of antibiotics.
Yeah.
Well, the first 11 times didn't work, so let's do it again.
Yeah.
And they were going to go and do an exploratory surgery on a 70-year-old lady, and I thought, this is insane. There has to be a better way. And we found a naturopath in North Vancouver, and he says, oh my God, bladder infections in a 70-year-old lady? We can fix that in 1 week. She will. We'll stop eating sugar. We'll stop feeding the yeast. We'll kill off the yeast.
Yeah.
The CO2 and the alcohol production from that in the intestinal tract will stop backloading the kidney, which feeds to the bladder, and all the bladder infections go away. Yeah. And sure enough, she stopped eating sugar. That was the last bladder infection ever. And we looked at that and said, somebody just told us 50 years early to stop eating sugar.
Yeah.
So we did.
Sugar's an interesting one. That also could be a whole nother hour-long podcast.
Ooh-wee, that's a doozy. Yeah.
It's funny how we hook the kids pretty early. Every holiday is based around it. Your first date's got chocolates. It's the culture's set up to feed us sugar. That's for sure.
It's in everything.
Yeah. You mentioned that you do a lot of speaking now, talking about PTSD, talking about mental health. Does this sort of stuff come into the ideology, the visualization? Are you, do people ask you about that when you're in these seminars and stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
It's the big question comes up is, how did you live like that for so long?
Right.
It was 25 years living with PTSD before I finally got rid of it.
Yeah, before you even really realized you had it.
early on, somebody told me I did, and being 20 years old, yeah, whatever. I'll suck it up and I'll make it through it. I'll man up.
I'll just go full speed ahead on 700 other things.
And I hit it so well.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, and I'm like a textbook example of how you can move your life through it, live with it.
Yeah.
But truly, it's like the apple with a bite out of one side of it. You look in the mirror and it goes, hey, look at me, I look great.
Yeah. Backside
is a giant bruised worm sticking out and a bite out of your ass.
Yeah.
And that was me.
Right.
I had a great front, but there was a great behind that still had issues, things I went through, airline flights from Europe and turbulence where I hung on to the seats the whole way and sweated myself into almost a terminal wreck.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, you made it through the flight. Yeah, look at me now. Look how happy I am. So
it's pretty crazy. Like you were still recovering from the burns. You had to wear a mask all the time, but you were already, back on snow, back in helicopters, competing, almost with an even deeper well of, focus to win and to be the best at anything you could imagine. It seems like that was just sort of, the way that you were avoiding the issue, or like, like you said, the front side of the apple it's almost a life a lot of people would dream of, right? What you've done with, those years since then.
I would say a lot of the desire, I still wanted to win.
Yeah.
I liked winning. Once you've won a few times, that is an addiction all on its own.
Yeah.
So I wanted to win. I wanted to do well. I wanted to make that as a part of my life. The over-intensive drive to those events probably would have been very heavily related to the PTSD. That was my outline. That was my way out.
Yeah.
That was better than the drugs. That was better than the alcohol. It was, you're going in the hardest adventure race on the planet. Well, I would prep for that 8 hours a day for a year straight.
Yeah, you would carry a 50-pound rock.
I'd stick on a 50-pound weight vest.
Yeah.
And run around the block, rain or shine, and do 20 laps of the block, and each lap around by my house do 50 reps of some stupid exercise. And to the point that the neighbors had come out and watched the idiot run around the block 50 times in the snow, in the rain. So the PTSD, I would say, looking back, helped me with the drive to do those things when probably otherwise I would have said, this is dumb. What am I doing?
There's a few chapters in the book about that. What was the name of that race? The Impossible Race?
The Death Race.
Yeah, the Death Race.
Yes.
So how did you even learn about that?
A friend who was U.S. Army Ranger, just top-notch athlete and all-around good guy, says, hey, I got this race. Right. It's called the Death Race.
It's right up your alley.
Check it out on the computer, youmaydie.com.
Right.
And I looked at it and went, wow, this looks impossible. Yeah. Nobody should be able to finish this. I said, why are you phoning me?
Yeah.
Well, it says, I made a list of all the people in the world I know that would finish this race with me. I'm like, yep, why didn't you phone them? He said, I did. You're the only name on the list.
Awesome.
So when you have a backing and a belief from somebody like that,
right,
you sign up for the race.
Yeah. Wow. And I mean, at that time you were guiding, snowboard guide?
Yep. Yeah. I was up at Weegley's heli ski guiding and had just come back to Whistler for doing being a part owner of Powder Mountain.
Yeah.
So that all fit in about the same time, and then training for the Death Race was a shocking amount of effort.
Yeah, and that was just off season, or you were doing that work days as well?
Work days as well. It didn't matter. That race didn't care if you were ready or not.
I think a lot of people would wonder how you, after being in a terrible helicopter crash, how within a few years you're back in helicopters in the same area, helping other people, so maybe get over some of their fears about it. Was that tricky to get back in the bird?
Terrifying.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was back in the next year. Had Achenbach as one of the guys saying, "Hey, we're going up heli skiing at Christmas. You're coming."
Yeah,
we don't really care that you crashed before.
Get back
Let's
on
go.
the horse.
We take off, we start flying away, hit some turbulence. I reach for the handle in the roof, and he slaps my hand down, looks at me, and goes, "That ain't going to help you."
Oh, man. Crazy.
So maybe my best friend was my worst enemy,
but
I had friends that wouldn't let me change and not do the things that I had done before.
And then it got easier after, a few rides, or was it always...
You figure out how to build this shell around yourself and create all those protective layers that eventually becomes the PTSD.
Yeah, and then, it's sort of, in the book, you talk about getting your own pilot's license, and then that was where you were sort of forced to...
Oh, yeah. Learning to fly
yeah.
was when the PTSD reared its ugly head and said, you are still here, can't get rid of me, not gone away, and you cannot will me out with brute force.
Right.
It was learning to fly helicopters 25 years after the crash, and I could fly.
Yeah.
I could do auto rotations. I could do the emergency work. I couldn't land or take off. So as soon it was trying to land or take off intentionally by myself, the whole body would constrict, tighten up, seize up, pull back, and the instructor would have to take over and keep us alive.
Yeah.
So that was when the realization of that PTSD here is where its trigger point was. And I could not get through it with time, practice, meditation, brute force, will of anything else. It was a wall.
And how long ago was that? What year was that? 2005?
2015.
Right. So just under 10 years ago. The world had changed in the way they viewed PTSD, in the way people discussed mental health. You were able to get help and work through it with a professional.
Yes. I discovered through a guy in Whistler, lens neurofeedback.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of this is reprogramming the electrical pattern in your brain, because the trauma is embedded. Your brain takes shortcuts around things. So your traumatic response, your anxiety, nervousness, rapid heart rate, sweaty palms, those are all things I had when I was trying to fly.
Yeah.
All of those are adverse reactions to some kind of stimuli that you have no physical control over. So those are all the shortcuts when my brain had been programmed in through life of how to deal with the PTSD. So electrical activity side to side in the brain was way off.
Right.
So this neurofeedback helps rebalance the electrical activity side to side in your brain, so all those shortcuts are gone. Think of it like, I call it the Coke machine fix. You want to fix the money that didn't go in the Coke machine, you step back and kick it.
Yeah.
It resets, out comes your drink.
Yeah.
Your computer doesn't run right, what do? Turn it off, you turn it back on, everything's reset itself.
Yeah.
So that's what the neurofeedback's doing. You don't need to talk about anything. You don't need to rehash it, relive it, re-examine about how your mom treated you younger in your life and that's the cause. No, none of that crap. You don't have to relive it. You need to reprogram how your brain has morphed itself into the trauma.
Right.
And then the effects of the trauma go away. So I did 3 sessions in the neurofeedback, went back to flying, and I felt like Luke Skywalker.
Crazy.
It was astounding.
It's a lot of science. It feels like, even when you talk about, doing a trick or understanding the physics of the body in the air, like you've always kind of brought a scientific mind through the book anyhow to the stuff that you've been doing. Was that, did you just have to pick that up on the way, or were you a big science kid when you were younger, or, even understanding what's going on with this treatment, there's science in there.
Very much so. It was more, a lot of times, especially snowboarding things, I'd try first.
Right.
It should work like this. Yeah, it didn't. It landed on my head. Okay, why did it land on my head? Back it up a step. What do I need? Let's look at somebody else that achieved success. What did they do differently?
Right.
For a backflip, they tilted their head all the way back. I didn't. I landed on my head.
Yeah.
So I think I looked at a lot of things as, what is the person that's succeeding doing? And why don't I just try that first?
Yeah, and I guess that says a lot to the people that pioneer tricks too, right? Because they don't have that visual ledger to go off of.
Yeah, it's trial and error.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. I wanted to figure out how to do a backflip with a full twist. So the freestyle skiing called it a full.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this should be able to do this on a snowboard. Let me give this a whirl. Built a big kicker into the powder. First time, landed on my head. Second time, landed on my feet.
Yeah.
And it was just figuring out the mechanics of some body movement.
And in those days, if you had a trick like that, you could turn it into winnings.
And I did on
Yeah.
a lot of events.
Yeah.
I turned that into the winning, the 1988 North American Championships.
Yeah.
Front flip out of the half pipe. There was money. One of the Grouse Mountain events, big kicker out the bottom of the half pipe. Backflip, full twist.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
Yeah. Awesome.
Didn't matter what you did in the half pipe.
How do you feel about snowboarding now where, the competitions, it's, some people call it spin to win, or, the common viewer might not even be able to tell what's going on. There's so much happening in the air. Do you feel like that's counterintuitive to, what the sport was built on, or it's a natural progression, but let's not forget about, an air to fakie, a huge air to fakie or something like that? Like, when you watch the competitions now, how do you feel about it?
I am so happy I'm not competing now. To ante in on the big air event in the half pipe is 20 times beyond anything I ever achieved.
Yeah.
So I look at that and go, wow, their air awareness, their sense of where they are in the air. At one point, I think people were copying tricks out of a video game.
Right.
Hey, this underflip thing worked in the video game. Why don't I go try that? Oh my God, I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
So in a way, I look at it and go, yeah, I don't comprehend anything that guy did. It just looked like somebody threw the cat out the window.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I look at that and think that is absolutely inspiring of how hard that is, how big they're going.
Yeah.
And one mistake and you're out for the year. You're done.
Best case scenario.
Yeah. That's the best case. So I'm in awe of it. And at times I can't comprehend it. And then I'm happy I'm not the kid trying to do that now, because I don't know how I would get through that intact, not broken.
Which is, how most sane people would look at the death race, or or running through the electricity of the world's toughest mudder.
Yeah, I can. I look back on that and I think of that now. And people go, "Why did you do that?"
Well, also you kept coming back.
I did. I went back for that 3 times.
Yeah.
Because the first time I went through the death race with one intention: finish.
Yeah.
And on the drive home, my support guy, Christian Harab, who ended up being my watercross coach, he says, "Do you think you could have won?" Yeah. I said, "Well, I never thought about winning.
Yeah.
I just wanted to finish." And I finished. He goes, "Yeah, but could you won?" Oh God, I got to go back next year.
And it changes every year, but for people that have never heard of the death race, can you give just a couple examples of the sort of stuff you would have to do and for how long you would have to do it?
The death race, when you enter in, it's even an obscure start location. That is hard to figure out.
Right.
You know it's in Pittsfield, Vermont. You get given a gear list over about a month period of time ahead of time. Just slowly they add things in. It equates to around 50 pounds of random junk, usually with a 5-gallon pail, a big axe, 1 year's 5 pounds of hay, bag of human hair, just random crap, knitting needles, swim goggles.
Yeah.
And you're wondering, how is any of this going to get put into the race? And then you get given first task. First task, go over there to the pile of rocks, bend down, pick up a 70-pound rock, lift it to your chest, put it back down, move to the next one. We're going to do that 1,563 times. Good luck with that.
With your pack on, too.
Some idiot, I took my pack off.
Right.
Some idiot goes, "Hey, can we do this with our backpacks off?" The organizer said, "No, put your backpacks back on."
Yeah, it's a bit of a mental game, that race, hey?
I learned, don't ask questions where you might have a harder answer for. Just do the task, move on. And you never knew what was coming next. You do one task, they give you something else to do. Do one task, finish that, move on to the next. Okay, you're in Whistler Village. Next checkpoint, top of the peak chip. There'll be a Bible verse. Memorize it, come on back down. Get one word wrong, you're going to go back up.
Crazy.
And while you're going, take this 50-pound stump with you too.
So you come back to that 3 times, and it's like multiple days you're awake.
Yeah, the first year was a little over 30 hours. Second year was 63 hours. I had a 6-hour lead, and I quit.
Wow.
And I justified it at the time real easy.
Yeah.
I said, no, I stopped. And I phoned home to my daughter and my wife, who had missed the year-end dance show, and I said, I stopped. And my daughter goes, no, Dad, you quit. I said, no. And I tried to justify stopping. And she says, no, you quit.
You gave up.
And that was when it that was a kick in the ribs. That
Yeah.
was, I quit. So the next day I signed up for the following year and decided I had to come back and prove that I was not a quitter.
Yeah.
It was not fluke. I can win this again.
Yeah.
And I did. So the third time back was proving to myself, proving to the world, and more or less proving to my kids as well that I shouldn't have quit.
Right. And
That was a mistake.
you know, and you talk about it, but this sort of drive and these sort of events and the training for them all, it does take a bit of a toll on the family, you know, on your time to be able to be with your kids. It feels like, you know, after your success in the death race, the Tough Mudder and all that, you sort of turned a page with the Olympics, and, you know, you wanted to be in the Olympics, and then as an old man by Olympian standards.
Oh, yes.
Right. But eventually you didn't quit, but you also, you know, you didn't follow through like you did in some of those prior competitions.
I realized there was the balancing point between home life and family, and the need to try to prove myself that I should be able to make it into the Olympics.
Yeah.
And the time away from the family just wasn't worth the benefit of trying to achieve that last position onto the Olympic team.
Yeah.
And the commitment that it was going to take and the sacrifice that was going to be made. And that was a balancing point. That was realizing, all right, the family has a greater importance here, and I got to go that direction. So,
and you'd already proven that you weren't a quitter, so you were able to, you know, get out of the Olympics and for the right reasons.
I gave it the best shot I was going to give.
Right.
And realized I came up one spot short, but intensely happy that I tried.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Yeah. And that, I think, alone is a great lesson for my kids, that if you think you can, you should go try.
Yeah.
And if that's your goal and that's your dream, chase it. Like, the world's biggest mistake is setting the bar too low and achieving. That is the biggest problem. Hey, I'm going to go do 30 push-ups. Yeah, big deal. You made 30 push-ups. Yeah. Should have asked, how many push-ups can you do?
Right.
Hit 70 and then found out.
Yeah.
You set the bar too low and succeeded.
So, you know, as you've got two daughters, they're teenagers now, right?
Yep, 15 and 17.
When you look back at, you know, snowboard culture, ski town culture of when we were younger, you know, the way the role women played in that culture compared to, you know, now with two daughters of your own, sort of, you know, growing up in the same town, have we made much progress, you know, do you think, or what's that like to have lived through, you know, where there was no girls competitions, and now you know you have two daughters that you're teaching how to have this mindset that you've had your whole life?
Now I think we're growing up with a generation of kids that aren't being told they can't do something because of any preset limitation. Oh, You're female, you can't do that. What kind of crap answer is that nowadays? To me, it's more like, hey, so I'm missing 4 toes off my foot. Big deal. That's not going to stop me from doing all these other things. I think setting the limitation is the biggest drawback that anybody can do. So it's, I think we're really in a good spot right now where people can have whoever they are, whatever their skill set is, and with some hard work, whoever that is, they can get out there and they can be the top skier in that industry. They can be the top snowboarder. They can be the top mountain biker. I think that is a big part, but it's also a big part on the parenting end to put that inspiration and that belief into the children. Right. And into your kids, and then show them by example.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, I did want to ask one of your early sponsors, Rubber Ducky Condoms, which I remember you could buy those in Whistler, and they were different colors, right? So that made them the best. There's a duck on the box. Was that your you know, the only sponsor that your mom didn't like, or?
She was not fond of that one bit at all, in any way, shape, or form. Peeled the stickers off my board, threw the T-shirts out. Yeah. And again, that was one of those things that at the time wasn't talked about. That was absolutely risque. You just that wasn't a piece of the discussion.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, you know, that was peak AIDS era.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I remember growing up being, like, terrified that everyone was going to die of AIDS.
And ending up with that sponsor wasn't it wasn't a personal choice. I didn't go out there thinking, oh my God, I got to save the world with sexual health. And it was more like, hey, those guys are going to give me money to stick a sticker on my board and promote this.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Whatever. They're my new best friends.
Was that the weirdest sponsor you ever had? Or what? Like, everyone was trying to get a piece of snowboarding back then.
That was the strangest one.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Right. So I just saw that note pop up, and underneath that, it's a quote of yours that says, "If you're nervous, then you're on the verge of an opportunity."
Yes, that came from another friend through barefoot water skiing, because everything you do in barefooting, you're nervous. Yeah. Because disaster is a millisecond away from anything you're trying to do.
A millisecond away from an enema.
Or beating the back of your head into the water at 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, which, how many times have you done that?
Too many.
Yeah. Barefoot water skiing actually it sort of comes out of the blue. Like, you do all these other things, adventure racing, snowboard guide, a pilot, but that seems like it's a huge passion of yours, like even almost equal to snowboarding or even more.
The thrill of gliding across the water on your bare feet it has no equal. Powder is phenomenal, but this is even a step beyond that. And I think it's the level of perfection that was needed in that sport. Because I can go down the hill and I can ski and snowboard and I can make 50 horrible, bad, rotten turns in a row.
Yeah.
And I'm still on my feet thinking I'm doing great. Barefooting? No.
Right.
You're off by 1 degree and your face pounds into the water and you get back up and the coach says, hey, how about you do it right this time? Or do it the way I told you.
Yeah.
Or the other one was, this time, try that trick like you believe you're going to make it. Because you didn't believe that attempt.
Right. And that's sometimes enough.
That's all you need. You need that belief that it's going to work. And I remember one trick I was doing, my coach said to me, if I could do it half as good as you are practicing it, I would do that trick every time, every day. And that was just, it had to instill the belief in me that I could do that. So I went out there and after that, it was an easy trick.
Right. Is it, to have, sort of an authority figure like a coach tell you that, are you able to replicate that when you're on your own and tell yourself that with the same level of success? At
times. Yeah. I found things I was trying to teach my kids came back to me.
Right.
And forced my hand on that. We'd always tell the kids, you never give up on the first try. You try everything a minimum of 3 times. So if you're learning to water ski, you fell down the first time. Big deal. Yeah. We got minimum of 2 more tries here before we even consider not doing that anymore.
Right.
So I was out barefooting. I was learning to do what's called a toe turn. So you got 1 toe in the hold. You're gliding along in 1 foot, 46 miles an hour, and you turn around from forwards to backwards.
Yeah.
Then backwards back to forwards. And I turned backwards back to forwards and drove my face in the water. Tweety birds were flying around. I probably had a good concussion. I get back and I was going to hop in the boat. And my little 6-year-old daughter says, good job, Daddy. You got 2 more tries still.
Tries. Sick. He comes back to bite you.
Oh, man. So I got back out there. Took a minute to shake the cobwebs off and realized I better succeed this time because I don't have 2 more of these crashes in me.
Yeah.
My daughter believes in me. And second one was total success. So I had to go and do a third with success just to instill the point. But yeah, that's sometimes you have to believe it yourself, but it's certainly easier when you have a coach working with you that believes in you.
Right. Or a little kid.
Or a little kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you still barefooting competitively?
The competition, no. Yeah. I stepped back from that a little bit, and especially with a couple of years where we didn't have the World Championships.
Right.
I had a plane ticket to Australia. We're going to the World Championships, then to hop on a cruise ship the day that COVID said you are not allowed to leave the country.
Right.
So that got put on for a hold for a couple of years, and right now I've got the addiction of slalom water skiing.
Right. Huh?
Wow, that's a new challenge.
There you go. So that's what you did all summer this year?
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. What with this, you've talked about how the book, came out of sort of the speaking tours and stuff. When did you start getting into, I've got something to share about my journey and about my healing and my PTSD, and how did that sort of come about where now you're able to, get on a mic and help others?
one day when my daughter was having an ear infection, we checked into the Children's Hospital in Vancouver. There was another little kid in the waiting room that had been burned by some hot water.
Right.
And I went up to the burn unit in the hospital that day and said, is there anybody here that needs somebody to talk to?
Right.
I've been through this. And they said, no, there's nobody in the burn unit right now. I said, wow, that's amazing. Here's my phone number. If somebody shows up and needs somebody to talk to,
right,
give me a call. Phone rings a week later, and it was the head of the Burn Fund program of Vancouver, and there was a program called The Future is Mine, and I was invited into that to help people that had been through burns get through that process. And that was a realization that what I had gone through would be needed by others, and I needed to share that and open up and take the life that I had and open it wide so that others can help avoid some of those things that cause their traumas for life, learn from it. We can't all repeat the same mistakes over and over.
Yeah.
So I looked at that point as a changing time of I've got experiences and things that I can help others with and need to.
Yeah, and you've been doing that for a long time now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I can now. So PTSD presentations, through the guiding industry, through the ski industry, through anywhere I can talk to and anybody I can talk to it about, because back then we didn't talk about it. We wish we had, and it's time to help others going forward.
Well, I feel like the book is a step in that direction. If somebody wants to get the book, where do they go?
Go to Armchair Books in Whistler. Dan will sell it to you. If you're not in Whistler, please go to Friesen Press. They help out the authors. You can also buy it on Amazon. They fill their pocketbooks.
Yeah.
Friesen Press is nicer to the author. But anywhere online, I'll buy it, and I'm soon to be working on the audio version.
Oh, nice. You're going to record that yourself?
Yeah, I think it needs to be done.
Yeah. We'll put some links in the description of the pod as well. Don, thanks for your time.
Great to be here. Thanks, Feet. Appreciate it.
The good news is, we covered a lot of stuff, but we barely scratched the surface of the adventures and the challenges and the insight and the wisdom that's in the book. So it's called Beating the Impossible, and you should just probably go get it.
Well, hopefully it motivates you, entertains you, and gives you a great story with a few survival lessons I've learned along the way.
Incredible. Inspiring. What a life. What a guy. I've actually known Don casually for a long time, but what a gift to get to sit here and shoot the shit and just soak in his positive attitude and kick-ass perspective on life. One more time, the book is called Beating the Impossible by Don Schwartz. You can get it at your local bookstore, or you can hit up some links at Don's site, www.donschwartz.ca. That's DonSchwartz.ca. And while you're there, you can also watch In the Blink of an Eye, the 17-minute documentary about Don and his journey with PTSD that came out in 2016 and is also quite a fantastic watch. So thanks for coming in, Schwarty. Here's to a good winter ahead. Thank you, as always, to Sharai Rules for the voice intros off the top, and to Adrian Gendro for the guitar licks. We're 18 episodes in, and it sounds good to me still. Thanks to you, of course, dear listener, for giving us your time and your ear holes and your attention. Christmas is coming, so feel free to hit up the store at mountainlifemedia.ca, or read the articles, or look at the pictures, or send us some feedback, and share the love. Other than that, here comes winter, so make sure you have your snow tires on, and enjoy the slow season while you can. We will see you on the slopes.